It's a new year and there are new plans for the channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I turned this mess into this buzzing excitement. But first, we need to start somewhere. And it seems like we have quite the mess. So first order of things is going to be clearing out all of this junk because we have done some building last month. I have been focusing the last 2 months on building what I think is going to be the ultimate print farm. And no, they are not going to be bamboos. We have built 5 of these beautiful Vorons to be sitting in these shelves. Now, 4 of these are going to sit in the shelves and the 5th one is going to be for all the experiments that we are going to do this year, and that one is going to be behind the camera. All right, enough of the rambling. This is Noisyworks and today I'm going to show you how to turn this dump space into a print farm. So first of all, let me clean up all this junk in this corner so we have a clean canvas, because I have bought a few things that are going to make this space a little bit more nice than what you can see right now. For that, we are going to need these felt pads. These are going to be insulating the walls from some of the vibrating noises and also trying to cancel some of the echo. When I'm at the original desk space, there is a lot of reflection from all this wood. So I'm hoping that this is going to help me out a little bit. I think it's safe to say that you know what I'm going to do right now. Plaster this complete wall. So let me fast forward to the point that this is all finished. And just like that, the last panel is going in. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I quite hate it. It's just like I'm building my own mental institute. Oh, this is going to hurt a lot for you. I feel a little bit funny. Not sure why. Oh well, right now, let's look if we have power enough in this box right over here. We are probably going to add another breaker, especially if we want to power the complete corner. Also on the way, we have a few UPS-like devices. Those have a bunch of batteries in there, but those are also on the way. We are going to try and spice up this volume with a little bit of LED lighting to try and get rid of the mental facility kind of thing we have going on. And then I think it's time to fill our shelves with the Vorons. Okay, so LEDs, these are garbage. Not enough light for me. Even if I hold it right over here, there is nothing you can see, nothing we can do but replace these with other LEDs that are hopefully a lot stronger than this one. So that means that we are going to keep our asylum room lighting and we are going to start and put some printers on here and do some first testing to see if the concrete slab or the rubbers are going to help with vibrations. One thing I can already tell you right now, with the foam tiles we have right over here and the tiles we have on the other side of the shop, the set like you see it, the reverberation of my voice is very, very minimal. So it is doing the job. It's a little bit hard to look at for me. Now, I think we can fix it, but these are not going to do it. 2 of these are now sitting in the rack and we are going to do some first testing on 2 units to see what is going to happen. So what I'm going to do on both of these units is do an XY calibration, and then we are also going to do the vibration profile. After that, we are going to install these rubber tiles. These rubber tiles are recycled car tires or something like that. We are going to shove them underneath and we will see if these have a positive influence on the vibration profiles we have on our printers. Quad gantry leveling is done. Now it is time to initiate our first calibrations, which is going to be the axis shaper calibration, we are going to use shake and tune. So this one is now starting that calibration. Time to look up our other one, and now we are going to do the same axis shaper calibrations. So right now these are both testing out X and Y. This is going to be very interesting. What I want to do at the end, if 4 printers are in this farm, I want to see how much of a difference our calibrations are going to get. In other words, I want to see if there is any meaningful difference in speed, acceleration and quality between all of my units. And the 4 best ones are going to get in the farm, and the worst one will be sacrificed for all the mods we are going to do in the future. So first of all, the results of the right one. This is going to be the y-axis. We have a total acceleration of over 5,000, which is actually pretty good. We have one single peak. That is a very good result. And then we have our x-axis. We have about 9,000 of acceleration MZV, but you can see that our chart is not looking that hot. So that was the unit on the right. Now it's time to log into the other one and see what kind of a difference we see between both. So interestingly, it is right now recommending me hump i3 on the last unit, so the one against the wall, with a maximum acceleration figure of 4,000 on the X, while MZV is horrible at 2K. And then let's look at what the x-axis is. So that unit definitely has some vibration issues. We can see, interestingly, that the x-axis has around 8,600 on NZV. I think that most of the vibration issues is going to be the tool head. The LDO orbiter right now is empty, which means no filament, and also the little Bowden tube is not in that coupling, and those things rattle around. So that unit has those things installed. This one doesn't, so I think a little bit of that vibration is going to be just that. Now it's time to grab our rubber mats, put them underneath and see what it is going to do to our vibration charts. Both units are installed on these mats right now. I will do the same thing. I will do the homing, quad gantry leveling, because we moved the printers around. I'm pretty sure that quad gantry is not going to be correct anymore. And now it's time to redo the calibrations. While the one on the back is doing its final calibration, I can say that the results are actually fairly interesting in a good way. On the y-axis, nothing really changed. We dropped around 100 in the acceleration figure. We had the smallest little bit more of vibration on the tail end of our input shaper. Not something I would generally be really concerned about. Now, what is going to be mega interesting is going to be that x-axis, because in the first one we could see by the graph, I will show you right now, this is the graph, this is looking horrible, not great. But now with the rubber padding underneath, the result actually changed quite a lot. Let me pull up the new one with the rubber underneath, and wow, what a freaking difference that makes. So the rubber pad right now for the x-axis is very nice. Now I can see that the other one also just finished. So let's have a look and see how these two will compare to each other. Okay, so the calibration is done. Let's start with the x-axis. This was the before x-axis. We can also see kind of better input shaping on the x-axis. Now let's take a look at our y-axis. Before the rubber, and interestingly, we have more vibrations on the end with the rubber padding. It's a peak at the end. I believe it is going to be tool head rattling. Nonetheless, I'm going to grab 2 of these concrete slabs. I'm going to put them on the rubber pads to isolate it from the shelving. And then we are going to see if that is going to make another big difference or not. So this is how these are looking. We have the rubber mats on the bottom with the concrete tile on top. Same is going to be true for this one. Time to do some calibrations. All right, both printers are done. We have tested the rubber mat with the concrete tile on top, and we are going to look at the x-axis. I can already tell you that the y-axis is going to be quite the same. So let's skip the y-axis and let's get straight to the x-axis result. This is going to be the printer on the left with only the rubber mats. And this is with the concrete tile on top of the rubber mats. We can see we actually have yet another improvement on our x-axis just by putting a concrete slab on the rubber matting. So for the printer on the left, definitely very good result. Now let's look at the printer on the right to see if we have kind of the same thing going on. This is the before on the rubber mat only, and this was with the concrete slab. Now we can see on the graph we have a little bit of a second peak going on. Now, I believe that if we are going to really calibrate these printers, and with that I mean we are going to calibrate everything from the belt stanchions to the gantry. The gantry is aligned with the front, but the back gantry has yet to be aligned, and we can see it. There is a little bit of a skew sometimes from 0.5 millimeter to 1.5 millimeters. So we definitely have some squaring to do on the gantry. That is the nature of the flying gantry on the Voron 2.4s, but it seems that the rubber mat with the concrete tile is giving me just the best results that I can have sitting on that shelving. Enough rambling, I see you when I have all the parts to continue this video. Alright, let's get all the stuff out of the shelving and install these LED strips. I did some wiring, and this time we are going to test the ambient lighting. Because we are running 2 circuits, we only have 1 power supply. I will have to cut that wire so I can feed both of the little blocks right over here in that corner. Not a biggie, it is just that you know there is white light on it there. Alright, it's time to see if we have enough lighting with the new strips. And there we go. Seems to be more enjoyable to look at right now. Right, I'm going to scoot everything to the back, and then we have to do one more thing. That is for these pillars right over here. I have made a little LED strip that is going to mount right over here. We have a bit of wiring, and I'm going to splice it into the existing LED strip. For that I will need the soldering iron. The soldering iron is right on there. On top we have used those heat shrink thingies that have a solder ball in the middle. That works flawlessly, as you can see. Time to do the last bit of soldering, scoot back the whole thing and see what we think about it. Okay, so this is for all the marbles. First of all, we are going to start with what I call the main farm, which means that we have a little bit of just white light to see where the printer is sitting, and it is just a dark hole right here in the bottom and a little bit of light on top. So let's turn that on, the main farm. Now you can see that even if I would be sitting right over here, it is not a dark, dingy hole like it was before. Now to make everything feel and look a little bit more nice, I have the sphere or the ambient farm, and that will pop up the right now pinkish red color. It is very pink in camera, it isn't that pink for real. So, whew, we made it. We have LED lighting, and I think right over here, if I'm going to put my logo on here and I'm going to use the same ambient color of the farm, this will feel a lot nicer than it is right now. So that remains with only one more thing, putting in the farm in this corner. Now, it is not that easy. We have 5 units, and out of those 5, I'm going to select the 4 best ones. We haven't done any calibration. That means that we have to square all the gantries, do some belt checks, and then do the vibration profile, which printer is going to give me the best VFA speed range, and then we are going to select those 4, put them in there, and do some test printing. But first, let's do all the calibrations. Okay, so hooked up these 4, and then we have one sitting right over there on the floor. We are going to do all the calibrations on the floor. Here we have it, all the gantries are aligned and I have selected what I think are going to be the 4 best units out of 5. And this one is truly the Goldilocks of all of them, if I have to believe the vibration charts that this one spits out. So the only thing left to do is grab the red trick and put it over there. Now the only problem we have left is going to be how are we going to power all of these printers. Now the UPSs are not going to be here for the next 2 or 3 weeks. We can, however, run these now by just a power cord. The problem is we have no power in this corner. For that, we have to do some electrical work on that panel. I have already installed a new breaker. For that, we also need a device that we are going to hook up on the side. And then we have a 32 amp socket that we can use for the complete farm. So the red rig and the 4 Sovels. 32 amp is going to give me with 220 volts over 6 kilowatts of combined power, which is going to be completely fine for all the printers that we are going to use right over here. That also means that we are going to use an industrial socket because the normal wall sockets are limited to 16 amps. I could also just install 2 of those normal regular sockets, but the industrial sockets are about the same price of one regular one. So that is the thing we are going to do. So let me grab some of the last components, hook up the high amperage socket, and then throw on some extension leads and do a first print.
What we have done is this socket is on there is a hole through that, and we have a bunch of very sturdy cable. It is so overkill, I know, but we now can run 32 amps without any problem through one socket. Now, I have, by accident, ordered 2 extension leads that will plug into them, so I bought the second one, and we are just going to extend that one a bit lower. Oh well.
And here we have it. This is going to be the final key to make our little print farm run independent from just a regular extension lead. This is going to hook up to our 32 amp outlets that we have installed, and this should be able to power everything simultaneously. The UPSs, that will be for another time. All right, it's time for me to move the red rig, install these sockets, and see if they actually all run at the same time. So let's start off with the first socket and see if it actually plugs in or not. And it does. Great news. We also have a little LED indicator, I believe. And we can see it is lighting up. So we have running power in this socket. Now we're going to put one on the top shelf and one on the middle shelf. In the future, we will do some rearrangement of this socket, but before we have our UPSs, we are going to run them like they are. All right, everything is quite dark. Time to turn on the bottom shelf. That is also going to house our LED strips and the red rig. So we should see everything coming to life, giving us some lights. This will make a horrible noise. We know that when booting up, that fan is gonna ramp up like a hooligan. There we go. The red rig is turning on. The lighting is on. Now the printers, we are waiting for live. This one is booting up and this one is also booting up. Then we have our top row. Let's turn them on. All right, power is on. I can see this one booting up and that one booting up. So the farm is truly alive right now. Everything has booted up. We can see the red rig completely booted up. And we have our 4 screens of the printer. And we have a 5th one that is sitting on the floor. That will be the printer that I will hook up and the set, the print corner, whatever you want to call it. What my plan is right now is I'm going to turn on the heater, the bed and the hot end. And I'm going to do the same for this. We will turn on the bed, the hot end for all these 4 printers and run them simultaneously. That should be not a problem, and if it is, then everything is going to pop off like a balloon. But first, I need to remove a print. There is a little sneak peek on the next video right there. We have a 3D scanner that is actually quite interesting, and for that we need some 3D marker thingies. And instead of buying those at 200 bucks for 5 little scan markers, I have just printed my own markers. You can find these on printables, but right now that is out of the scope of this video, so let me just remove them real quick. The heater is running. This is already 550 watts. Now let me turn on the heated bed and the hot end. Alright, I am at the Red OS interface. It is already popping the message that right now, this is also a next spoiler video, that we are going to upgrade from 4 to 4.1, which means we are going to do some internal mechanical upgrades, as well as the new Red OS with a lot of new features on beacon and all of that, and bad mess compensation. But that is out of the scope of this video. Let me turn on the inside at 100%. Everything is running except for the extruder. Let's pop it to 150 and the heated bed is going to get 110 degrees. So this one is heating up. Time to go to our next printer. This is going to be the first one. I'm going to set it for the ABS preset. We have 90 on the bed, 220 on the nozzle, and this one is running. We have now 5 printers in this little farm corner, all heating up quite hard, because this is about 1200 watts, 1200 watts, 1200, 1200, and this puppy is very close to what I think is going to be around 17 or 1800 watts. Progress update. This one has received the new spacers. We have done the touch calibration, so this unit is all right. They have all been heat soaking, so now it's time to see if we have a stable power output on my house and see how much that is going to be. Now, this has all been done without dropping a fuse or anything like that, so we can perfectly run 5 printers right now at full whack. They are all sitting at 90 degrees on these units, 110 on the Redrick. The heater is still blowing. The hot ends are at 220 on these 4 Vorons, and the power output is going to be, so that's a drastic drop in power output. When these 5 are all heating up, we are having massive amounts of power going through these units. But when everything settles down, we can see we are only using 4 kilowatts. And like I said, we have 2 kilowatts of that going to our air conditioning. We have the lights on. So this is really fine for me and the power consumption wise. Now, what I also have done is going to be the fans that are going to do all the stepper driver cooling. These were quite loud. Now, they were tuned to 0.6 of a PWM out of 1. 1 is full speed, 0.6 is around 60%. I have dropped them further to 0.4, and right now they are not that audible, and I would say they blend in with all the rest. If I would leave it at 0.6 and I would do my work right there behind the desk, so my normal presentation work, those were definitely going to be audible from right over there. So the only thing right now is going to be homing all the printers, doing the quad gantry leveling. So I'm doing that right now live on the camera. We are doing all the things, and then we are going to see if we have any type of problem with overheating XY stepper drivers. This is actually super cool. I can see all 4 units just buzzing around. This is quite a highlight point for me personally. So right now I am logged into this unit, and we can see temperatures around 100 degrees on these stepper drivers. Now, if I get warnings from these drivers that they are getting too hot, we will have to do some ducting to get more airflow focused on these heat sinks of the stepper drivers, because right now it is a very low effort type of deal with Voron. Unfortunately, they are not using a really air cooling path, so no ducted fans. So this one right here on the left is just blowing some general air over a bunch of stuff in this housing. Also to be said is we are not using the bottom paneling right now. That is also going to aid in the cooling effect of these stepper drivers, but around 100 degrees is not a major issue. We could see that the GD Plus 4 was just baking them at 120 degrees, and all these printers right now are still running on the same stepper drivers, and there is yet somebody that has to tell me that the GD Plus 4 has burnt out drivers because they got too hot. There is a safety feature in there. If they get too hot, I will get a notification, and if that's going to be the case, then we will definitely be doing some cooling upgrades. But like you can see, stepper X and Y are around 101 and 97 degrees, which is, in my opinion, still pretty much good to go. All right, that's enough yapping. All these units are running in some kind of a capacity right now. The only thing we haven't done so far is going to do some actual printing, and for that we are going to download the Voron Cube Of course, what else would we do for our first printing? I'm going to load up some PLA because, yeah, I think that is going to be the easiest thing to do. Putting some filament around the frame and hope it makes it on the Voron cube. And then in the next video, we are going to start designing a frame for around the printer, because right now these are subject to the ambient temperatures and I want all of these to be ABS junkies. And for that, we need to close it off. We did get some polycarbonate paneling. I already know that anything above 50 degrees Celsius is going to be a very hard stretch, but we luckily already prepared everything. So in the next video, if you want to see that, you will see what my solution is going to be to get these printers as hot as possible. Now, enough yapping. Let's put on some ABS on all these printers and then let's see what we come out with the Voron cube. Oh yeah, that, and we obviously also that, and we still need to do input shaping and actually configure it in our printer.cfg before we do the Voron cube, of course. So as you can see right now, all the Vorons are just doing some speed test. And also this way we are doing a little bit of a run-in, getting all the rails all nice and greasy, just doing all the movements, getting some runtime in the belts before we do our final input shaper calibrations. Right now everything is looking perfect. 30K is not a problem. So a few developments. First of all, we have our first extrusions. I have one over here and I have one over here. Apparently the motor direction of the orbiter is the other way around of the config. So removing an exclamation point just fixed that. No problemo. Now they are rotating to the correct way distance. So I also loaded a little bit of filament because we don't have really a good solution right now to put on some spool thingies. So normally I should have enough to do the Voron cube. So I'm going to load the file. I have loaded it in every printer right here. I'm going to see if it's going to look like shit or if we have finally something that resembles a print farm. Oh my god, this is so exciting! We have our first movements. Let's go, baby. Don't dig into the, the heated bed, please. Now, this is a permanent. This is not a permanent flex plate. This is the one we got delivered. We have other plates sitting around. This is just purely for me to do some first calibrations. So it is doing the bed scanning. We can also see we right now don't have any camp or local bed meshing going on. That is a feature that we will have to include a little bit later, apparently. So the filament we are using is Polymaker Polysonic PLA. We have set it to 25 millimeters cubed, 235 degrees of hot end, or I believe that is what I have set. And it looks like we have a cartographer. Touch has been replaced by cartographer something else. It does not want to do it. Apparently, there's something in the configuration that needs to be replaced. It's time to dig back into the computer and figure out why it is not doing the things that I want it to do. This is going to be the second attempt. I have included the exclude object thingy and we have addressed the macro that complained about not being the correct one because it was outdated again. So here we go, second attempt. Alright, so now it's complaining nozzle temperature must be below 50 degrees. Alright, let's correct for that again and then redo the testing. My god, this is proving to be difficult. We made some changes and it was this time in the print start macro on the Orca side. So there was some stuff not really correct. It was heating to max temp. Right now it heated to 140. So this time it should actually print. Fingers crossed again. This is already pretty good. It is doing the touch thingy. Now it's heating up the nozzle to 220. This is looking promising. Right now it is extruding like crazy, so there is definitely something wrong with the extrusion factor. So this is the second attempt. This time we are not massively over extruding. I think we fixed it. Now, first layer seems to be almost perfect. Oh my god. We are printing, boys. We are freaking printing. Oh yeah. Alright, so this one seems to be working just fine. Time to pick everything we have changed on this one. It is quite a lot, and switch it over to the other 4. And let's not forget to do it on the 5th one. If I'm forgetting it, dude, you need to change everything. Alright, time to make some changes. All systems are running, but for some reason, this unit and that unit are using different profiles. Now, that unit and this unit are definitely the same profile, but they are all extruding filament. This is so nice to see. And just like that, I have 4 Voron cubes sitting on 4 printers. It is absolutely amazing to finally see my hard work coming to something that looks like a freaking print made it. Nice. Now, let's have a quick look and see how the cubes are looking and if we have some VFA issues. Cube number 1, this is with our own made profile. So this is the front, the x-axis, and it is looking pretty okay. The sides also are looking very good. Backside, the same. And then we have the other side. We also have a floating little thingy on the inside. Now it is really hard to see in this lighting, but yeah, this print right over here is a great success. So, first Voron that I don't have to worry about. That brings me to the second one, and I can see a wee bit of VFA on the front. And to be clear, we have given Prusa a lot of shit for this type of VFA. While it is still on the softer side, we definitely have a VFA issue. Now, you can see there is no ring around here. So this was the unoptimized with very slow accelerations. So I guess we will be able to tune that out. Y-axis looking a lot better. And then we have the backside of the x-axis. Same thing going on. The top is looking great. The bottom is looking great. And we also have the floating bit. So another great print. Time to grab this one. So this is also an unoptimized profile. Interesting. Less VFA on front. Y is looking good. And we have a bit of VFA on the back one. The other side is also looking good. The top looking great. The bottom looking great. Time for the last one. And with this one we got some weirdness going on. Now, the good thing is very low on VFA. The Y is looking good. And on the back, very low on VFA. So it looks like our tuning is doing not that bad. Now, what is going on? Also, bottom, perfect first layer. And the top is also looking not too bad. What I guess that has been going wrong. Let's look at the printer because we can see the actual problem. So this is the mess. This is the reason that we might have some bad printing quality, or why we have a very strange line right over here when we are having this transfer moment. Now, not sure, though it could be a bunch of things, so I think we have to do a little bit more testing. So 4 prints, 4 successes. We have a little bit of a VFA issue on the not tuned versions of the profile. That figures. The acceleration is on the very low side. The same is true for the speeds. It is getting very low. A bit low, I mean in the 150 millimeters a second. The profiles that I have calibrated myself are in the 200s, which is going to beat that VFA artifacting, which you could see on the first and the other cube that had that profile. So in my case, I am not too worried about the results I am seeing right now. It also looks like we have a bit of filament left. Let's do a speed test and see how that is going to turn out. I'm going to grab a little V shape, put it on the bed, and with the remaining filament, we will see with the same profiles this time what type of results we have A to B testing. Okay, a little bit of an update. We are doing more testing with the little bit of filament that is left. The one on the bottom is working, this one is working, and that one we had to fix because the nozzle, while tightened hot, still came loose and it oozed out. I think it's because the first time we were over extruding and it just pumped it all out of the sides. So right now we are going to do the same on this one. But we are running on the last bit of filament. The same is going to be true for that one, and also this one is running on its last filament. So I'm going to be very interested to see what this is going to give on that well-tuned filament, let's call it. Also, a very interesting fact I have seen so far is that the cartographer is doing an amazing job together with the heated beds from Nick from R3Man, Riemann, whatever I want to call it. The combination of cartographer with the graphite beds is absolutely top-notch. Right now, I am super stoked to see that everything is just without any faffing around, sticking very well to the bed. Now, we did a little bit of a bigger print, so it is going to be very interesting to see what this is going to look like when we do our first layer check. So, this one is done, this one is done. We are also going to cancel this one, also running on fumes. And just like that, we have done a bunch of speed printing, actual printing. That means for me, those are going to be the speeds that I will run most filaments the most at. Right now, we have kept everything at 30 millimeters cubed. We have the CHT nozzles of Bondtech in there. We have the extended mel zone of the Fetus Rapido. So let's see if everything combined together with the semi-cursed hot ends that we have built are actually usable, or have I made the most expensive printing mistake of my freaking life. Time to look at our prints. Let's start with this one right over here. So this time we do have the same print profiles. We have double checked it, and it looks like the first layer again. Yeah, these are as good as I have at Beacon on the Rhetoric, and I would say it is even better thanks to the graphite bed. I think, first layer issues are going to be an issue of the past. The combination of the R3Man graphite beds together with the cartographer, this is looking amazing. Now, first glance, I have to say, money. I know this is going to be a bit harder to see for you. First layer, absolute money. But the most important parts are going to be these. That is looking solid. Then the other side. This is also looking very solid in my opinion. Also decent result, maybe a smidge more of the VFA, but I call this very acceptable. We can see a little bit, it is the slightest bit of rippling going on, but in my opinion, yeah, this is a non-issue. We might have a little bit too much squish, judging by the elephant foot. We might be a little bit too close, but this is just a Z-step away. Number 3, and we are keeping the best one, my Goldilocks, as the last one to see if it is actually a Goldilocks or not. This one seems to be on par with both of these. It is a little bit between this one and that one. I call it very acceptable. Same thing, a little bit too much squish, but perfect first layers. Then we have my Goldilocks. It's still a little bit hot, so I'm going to give it a few Mississippis just to cool down enough so we don't warp the filament. It looks like my Goldilocks is printing as good as all the other ones. They are looking very much the same, which is good news. First layer is also amazing. A little bit of an elephant foot. That is something that we have to compensate for, but this is also looking very nice. One side, the other side. All right, I think I can conclude this video. We have done 4 test prints in PLA material that we are probably going to use very little. And I have to say that all these printers are falling with an acceptable, or if we're going to be honest, more than acceptable result. And don't forget, we are using a completely printed tool head, which is amazing that we can even get this good of a result. Now, don't run away just yet. Make sure that you are subscribed, because I have some sweet CNC tool head stuff going on for the Voron, which I'm calling the VCT tool head, which translates to the Voron CNC tool head, yet another tool head, but my design. It is a little bit inspired by the A4T tool head, and that is going to be one of the next upgrades that we are going to do on this Voron. But before that, we are going to make an enclosure completely insulated, so we have something to keep the heat in, so we can print reliable with ABS, because right now it is a PLA machine only, and we have a lot more stuff coming up. So make sure that you are subscribed. Maybe consider becoming a member for only $1 a month. You can support the cause that I am doing. We are going to do a bunch of crazy stuff this year, and one of those videos is going to be setting a few printers on fire for safety reasons and for education purposes. So if that is something that you are interested, then make sure that you are subscribed, notified. Also, big shout out to the members of the channel. These legends over here are making these crazy experiments that we are going to plan completely possible without having to rely on a sponsor. So that's gonna be it. Thank you for watching, and guys, I see you in the next one.